señorita. Señorita, where are you going? You wanna be my Carlita?
Hello everybody, welcome to the first 4WC matchup of today, but also it is the final day of the group stage phase. After a long 3 weeks, this final day will really decide who goes through to the bracket stage, whilst who will be eliminated as well. Today we have Singapore up against Estonia, which is going to be quite an exciting match, as we have seen Singapore pull off a pretty good match result up against Hong Kong, going 5-1, and Estonia also pulling off a pretty solid upset, going 5-3 up against Hong Kong. I am Felicia, and today I'm joined by Mabushik. How are you doing today, Mabushik?
Hello, I'm doing pretty well. Looking into this match, it's a pretty important one for this group, I'd say. Estonia looking for their second win here against Singapore, looking to possibly secure their place in the bracket stage, but it's still not in their hands, as Singapore has to play 2 matches today, and I believe one is going to be against Malaysia later today. But with that said, we are heading into a really interesting and really high stakes match, especially for Estonia, who needs to win here if they want to stay in the tournament. They did have a good start against Hong Kong, pulling off the seed upset, seed 40 and seed 33, then unfortunately fell short against Malaysia, who is dominating this group so far. Singapore, we only seen one match of them, and that was against Hong Kong, where they won 5-1, so pretty good start for them as well. And it's gonna be a tough match for Estonia to hold back, but I think it's gonna be an interesting one. We see Hidden 2 ban from Estonia, nothing out of the ordinary just yet. We have seen them ban Hidden 2 in both of their matches.
Yeah, this Hidden 2 ban makes perfect sense, and the next ban will probably be something a bit more tapping related, since they are a little bit more weak on that stamina, so you wouldn't be surprised to see that number 2 ban coming in. But now it is time for Singapore to ban, and Singapore, I honestly don't think they will ban tapping up against Estonia, despite having banned both number 2 and double time 2, but I was up against Hong Kong, a team that is a little bit stronger on the tapping side. But we will see what the bans will be. If I were to guess on a ban for the side of Singapore, it would most likely be maybe something along the lines of honestly, DT3 or number 1. You could even potentially see one of the hard rocks being banned.
Yeah, definitely a good question of what Estonia bans here. As you said, we have seen those 2 tapping bans, but I mean Singapore, but I'm not sure if they will opt for that against Estonia. As you said, it is a bit of a different team. Hong Kong definitely putting up a great performance on tapping, and we see HR2 coming in as the first ban. So precision HR, as you said, HR is one of the bans for Singapore, yeah. They have one more, which they could potentially opt for a double ban on HR pool or something, maybe a bit different. I'm not sure. This match, at least skill set wise, is looking pretty even outside of maybe Nomo 2, Nomo 3 potentially, but there's still one more ban for Estonia for that as well, and one more ban for Singapore.
I think you did mention double hard rock ban. That is possible. But you could also potentially look at something like Free Mod 3 potentially being a ban for the side of Singapore. It is a bit of an easier map, but they just might not want to fare in that consistency test up against Estonia, which I guess would make some sort of sense. But it's really hard to pull a second ban here. They might honestly just opt for another hard rock. Just get rid of the mod pool that they're the least confident on, which would make quite a bit of sense against a team like Estonia, who, if they're confident, then, well, they will probably play them up quite well. So, from what we have seen, at least in some other tournaments with these Estonian players, they are fairly confident with hard rock, but we will see how it does end up panning out.
Yeah, it's very much just a question of comfort, and we see that Free Mod 3 ban you mentioned, which again makes sense. There's not really much to ban for Singapore in this matchup, as they are a pretty solid, well-rounded team. But yeah, we see no one to insta-ban from Estonia, so one of those tapping maps is out, and it's gonna be Jashin. The 5-minute long map, DT2 still open, which qualifiers-wise does make a lot of sense. Nomo 2 of Singapore was pretty strong compared to Estonia's 1. DT2 was a bit more even though there was still around 1 mil average score difference, but if Nomo 2 is out, Nomo 2 is out. If DT2 is out, DT2 is out. It's again more of a question of comfort of which one you don't want to play more, to be fair. Now with Singapore pick, we could potentially see that DT2 pick come in straight at Estonia, to be fair.
Yeah, I think DT2 is a very solid pick for the side of Singapore here. You could go for DT2, maybe DT1. I don't think they would necessarily want to opt into that DT3, though I could be completely wrong, as we have seen. I think in the match that I did cast with you, everything that I said was completely proven correctly. So let's see if it will be a similar case of that, but They might even want to save this DT2 for later on, though, honestly, to have a guaranteed point further down the line to get to that match point or to close out the match. And that is something that they will do, since they do opt for that hidden 3, which is also a very good pick. Singapore sitting at seed 31 is a bit lower than what they would tend to see it at, especially after their highs, I believe, in 4WC 2022, I think it was, where they did end up finishing second. But Singapore has historically always been a team that is pretty strong with the hidden, so we will see how this map will end up going for them. But overall, a very solid pick for them.
Yeah, looking at the previous matches, Singapore did indeed beat Hong Kong on hidden 3 by around 1 million deep score, 3.2 mil total against Estonia's what seems to be 1.8 million against Malaysia, so this pick also makes a lot of sense, at least on the statistics side. And unless Estonia can improve by around 1 million, it should be a pick heading to Singapore's side, but we said that yesterday multiple times and it did not go the way we expected, so I guess let's just sit and watch how this map resembles as we slowly but surely get players in the lobby. Hustle and Unsent on Estonia's side with Bronya and Hekatia on Singapore. We do expect to see a lot of Bronya in for Singapore as one of the more carry players together with Dawning, as we see those two in lobby.
Yeah, also there's people like Musafi. I always say I'd say name Musafi. I'm just gonna say Musepie. Hollow Needs is another player to look out for. When you look at this team, it's honestly you do get kind of surprised how they did seed at the seed that they did, since they are really, like, look at this roster. It's a team that really punches way above their weight, because you have players like GS Blank, who I think debuted in OWC 2018, if I'm not mistaken. He's been around for a very, very, very long time. Actually, OWC 2017. No, sorry. Wrong again. OWC 2014 was his first OWC. So, a player who has been around for a very, 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 very long time and has always been a force we reckon with inside the Singapore tournament scene, Singapore community, and also just in general worldwide. A very, very strong player. But GS Blank is definitely not a hidden player, so we will not be seeing him on this. You'll most likely see him on the Hard Rock and Double Time picks, maybe 1 or 2 no mods. But yeah. Getting into this map, we do have all the rosters finalized, and we are starting for the side of Singapore. Apollo, Bronya, Hekatia, and Dawnwing. Very expected hidden roster for Singapore. And for Estonia, you have Ansent, The Hassle, Evil Gamings, and Khaled.
Yeah, on Estonia's side, definitely a lot of pressure on Evil Gamings, as he was one of the carry players, the solo carry actually of Estonia in qualifiers. Now throughout this group stage, they did solidify on their full overall team performance a bit more, maybe because of the pool being a bit more comfortable, a bit more West side for them. But with that said, we see some first misses on the board, one coming from Unsent, one coming from Bronya, and the one on Bronya was actually a bit less clean than one on Unsent. Unsent still 99%, Bronya down to 97% ag. This map is 2 minutes long, so these early misses will do some damage to both teams, but so far the accuracy advantage, even though the drops are on are less in favor for Singapore. On the accuracy side, not anymore, as Hansen finds the trade. The accuracy is on side of Singapore, and now with the drop from Hansen, the combo was on Singapore's side as well. Bronya does find the trade so far, only those two finding back and forth trades, everyone else holding intact.
Yeah, Estonia seems to be faring up a lot better than they were faring up in their previous matchup, still holding on to 3 FCs about halfway through the map. But the final part of the map is really where the map starts ramping up. You still have 3 combos standing on the side of Singapore, but you have that double miss, triple miss on the side of Estonia. And Evil Games and Khaled both find a break. And it's just the Hassle holding onto an FC on the side of Estonia up against Holonies and Dawnwing holding onto those FCs, but Holonies does find a drop. And if Estonia want to have a chance of taking this back, they really don't have any chance anymore, as the Hassle finds that break on the full combo, and it's just Dawnwing to bring this all the way home for the side of Singapore on their first pick of the match. And it looks way too dominant. There is just absolutely no avenue for Estonia to even find a comeback here. No combo and not enough map.
the final section absolutely killing almost everyone on the board outside of Dawning, still holding on to that full combo, which I believe they will finish up the map with. And even though Estonia did improve, Singapore did play a bit worse compared to their previous match. It does not matter as Singapore is gonna pick up their first point. Definitely a good score on Hustle, unfortunate SB there. Dawning with the FC, but overall, even if Hustle FC'd, the support from Estonia was not that great compared to the one from Singapore, and they will be picking up their first point. Now Estonia had to respawn, and they still have a lot of pool open. It's only their first pick, so they can definitely respawn with something of their own.
Yep, they definitely can indeed. They will 100% want to stray away from the hidden pool, given Singapore's roster on the hidden being significantly stronger than the roster on Estonia. But you could potentially look at, despite them having that hidden 2 banned, No Mod 5 could actually be an okay pick for Estonia. It is a bit of an easier map. You might see a couple of FCs coming in, and if they're feeling comfortable and they have a few FCs on it, I don't see a reason why they couldn't pick that No Mod 5. And other than that, you could maybe see the free mod 1 coming in. It's a little bit more flowing focus. You only really need that one player in the hidden, which will most likely be Hassel. And then you might see 2 players coming in on Hard Rock. You definitely see Jess Blank on that Hard Rock for sure. You can also see Dawnwing coming in on that hidden as well. No, sorry, not Dawnwing. Sorry, I'm talking about the Singaporean players instead of Estonian. But regardless, Estonian does pick the No Mod 1. But for free mod 1, Estonia only has the Hassle on that hidden, and the rest you might want to see Ancent on the Hard Rock. And maybe someone like Mega Hello also taking up that Hard Rock role. But that is something for a little bit later, as it is time for the No Mod 1. The 239 BPM, I believe, consistency aim map.
Yeah, No Mod 1, a map that's surprisingly not picked that often in this group stage. Really, we see more of those No Mod 3s and 3s and so on and so on. No Mod 1 not that favored among teams, but now we see it, and as you said, 238 BPM a map, which is gonna be hell for someone who decides to single tap this, I'd assume. But otherwise, the map is gaining most of its difficulty from the aim sections, a lot of cross screen, a lot of back and forth, a lot of stuff. It's a bit shorter compared to what we have seen in qualifiers with 3 minutes and 12 seconds of drain time, but the map arguably is more draining than the qualifiers No Mod 1, even though it's shorter due to its high BPM and constant flow of circles we have. So it's gonna be an interesting one to see more on the 50-50 gamble side on this star rating. Let's be real here. But it is a good map, it is a good song, and one of the older ones in this map, all coming from 2015. Loved in 2017 or 18, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, the song is a banger. That's all I have to say about this map, as we see players in the lobby and no big changes happening. We see Vic in for Singapore. So far, Evil Gaming's Hustle unsent in Estonia, Galad to switch for them. So 3 core players remaining from the previous map and 1 switch on both sides, as we slowly but surely wait for players to ready up and start off this No Mod 1.
Yeah, but we do have all of the rosters finalized here. For the side of Singapore, we do have Dueling Bronya. With an occasion for Estonia, we have Evil Gaming's Hassle, Ancent, and Kalad on this No Mod 1. So let's see how this does end up. It is a bit more of a coin flipping map generally. As you did mention, it is a little bit more draining, you could say, than the qualifiers No Mod 1. Despite its lower SR and lower length, it is, I guess, a high percentage of the map is at the actual intended star rating compared to the qualifiers No Mod 1. However, you will mainly see the diff spike coming in at the KI sections of the map, which I believe there are 3 of in this map, but also outside of the KIs, you do have a couple more jumps. But anyway, getting into the map, you do see just a couple of early accuracy drops on the slow section, mainly by the side of Singapore, but it is something that shouldn't matter too much. When we get into the jump section, we will surely be seeing a couple of breaks coming in from both of these teams.
Yep. As you said, so far nothing huge happening. All players on 300, full combo. Accuracy slightly on side of Estonia, giving them the lead of 3000 points. But now heading into the first TI of the map, we don't see any early drops. Let's see if players can hold throughout the whole section. Hustle finds the miss on the 1-2s, followed up by Kellad as well. So 2 FCs down for Estonia. One gets traded on Hecate on Singapore side, and Dronia goes down as well. So it's 2 FCs against 2 FCs. And 25,000 points in favor of Singapore. It's not gonna hold for too long, I'd assume, as there is the slightest lead on support of Estonia's side from Hustle and Kellad coming in, as Bronia and Hecatia's misses were a bit later, but no big changes happening just yet.
Not really any big changes as we get into another difficult jump section, another KI time. When we see any further breaks coming in, it is still 2 FCs to 2. The score is very stable, but we do see Dawnwing finding a break on the side of Singapore. But it is 1 FC up against 2 Hecate finding a break on that recovery combo. But Ansent finds a break on that FC, and so does Kellad on that recovery. And that completely evens out the match. It is completely even combos. And the score lead is completely stable with a 10,000 lead advantage for Singapore. There is absolutely nothing. You can cut the tension with a knife at this point. This can still go anybody's way. We only have a quarter left in this map, and Estonia really do need to hold on to these combos in order to fuel the comeback on this map and pray for one more break from the side of Singapore.
Ulvik finds the miss to the FC, and Able Gaming's now able to run away with the score. 5,000 points, 3,000 points. Now it's shifting back by Able Gaming, finds the miss together with Hustle. Now it's Bronia with the highest combo in the lobby, shifting it back to Singapore with Hecatia and Downing. Really good support. Kellad goes down as well, and there's no combo on Estonia to shift this back. Ansem trying to fight back with that 300 recovery, but it's not enough as Bronia and Dawning finding those recoveries helpful for Singapore side. Now 160k, 170k, and we see misses coming from Estonia. All the way to the end it was even, and then 1 FC miss from Evil Gaming's, 1 shutdown from Estonia's side, and it went all to the side of Singapore. 2-1, 2-0 actually, sorry. And that's gonna be the first breakpoint, but it was a really close one. Unfortunate miss from Evil Gaming's, and that one actually did come costly, as they are gonna lose this point.
I think even if Evil Gamings did FC, I don't think it would have been enough, because he did have 9,100, so I think his score would have been just under 990,000, and they did lose by 200,000, so it would have just barely not been enough, unless he did spend a significant amount. But it was very close up until the very end. The combos were even all the way throughout until Evil Games did find that break right at the end. But early breakpoint for the side of Singapore. It is back to Estonia to try and win back this breakpoint on Singapore's pick. And when you look at Singapore, I think they might want to opt straight into that DC2, get that breakpoint converted, and run away with the advantage. Get into that the very early lead, and put yourself in a good mental point in the match. Having that very solid advantage will really help you in the long run.
Yeah, definitely options for Singapore to pick from. As you mentioned, they have much better hidden roster than Estonia here, so that hidden one could possibly be an option, even though it's more on the aim side, more on that 50-50 coin flip map kind of side. Outside of that, they still have some options to pick from. It is really early into the match. The pool is basically fully open outside of some bans, and they will opt for free mod too, which is gonna be an interesting one.
That is a very fair pick. I was gonna mention that as a potential pick for them as well, because I do remember them playing it yesterday up against Hong Kong. Hong Kong, of course, pulling off the double easy flashlight, and I think just barely being able to pip out Singapore on that. No, actually, they did end up losing that against Singapore. So, it is a... Wait, hold on. No, yeah, they did end up winning up against Singapore on that. My mistake. It is a pretty fair pick because you do have 200Ks on easy, which do end up becoming 400, 460K. But again, it's on Moosebite and Hikesha, who are two players who definitely can improve on those scores. And I don't doubt that they probably have some FCs in their lower pools. But the issue is replicating that in the match is a completely different story. And it'll be fairly interesting to see what mod combinations Estonia do want to cook up on this. Because they did leave that No 1-5 open, and they opted to ban that No 1-2. So I do presume that they might have maybe one player at least on the easy, since this is a map that you can very easily abuse easy on. So we will see the mod combinations. But for the side of Singapore, we do expect to see those two easies on Moosepie and Acacia, Jetblank on the Hard Rock, and Bronya on the No mod. But I think for the side of Estonia, we'll most likely see Ansens, I'd say, on the Hard Rock, and maybe the Hassle on the easy. But I'm not sure about the rest of the mods.
We have seen Ansend on easy on this, with Domex and still both going hidden HR and Evil Gamings, trying it with the no mods. But so far we only see one player of Team Estonia in the lobby, so there might be some changes happening. Mooseby in for Team Singapore, potentially looking for that easy, and we will be getting a timeout from the Hustle from Estonia's side.
Just a bit of banter asking if they're practicing easy flashlight, as you could see yesterday by the side of Hong Kong, but that is not the case. And yeah, you did mention those mod combination from the previous match. I did not realize that this was played actually in the Estonia-Hong Kong match. But yeah, you did see those two hidden Hard Rocks and Ansent on the easy. I do think they might potentially have some different mod combinations cooked up though, considering that match was on the 25th of July, which was 2 weeks ago. So more time to practice, more time to potentially see another easy coming in. We will see though. But we do have that timeout, so most likely just getting the easy players comfortable on the map. If there is more than one, that is.
Yeah, definitely trying to see what they are best at with that. So I think we might see some roster changes on Estonia's side if they are trying to practice it. Maybe looking into one extra easy, maybe looking into some switches on the HR, on the hidden HR. We'll see once they get back in the lobby and start the map, but so far there's not much else we can do on the player side. We did look at the previous matchups, we did look at the previous mod combinations, and I believe we did give the map a bit of spotlight. It is the oldest map in this map pool by a lot, coming back from 2009, and you can see it on the mapping style. It's the peak 2009 style mapping, a lot of linearity here and there. Overall, just a fun map to play if you like old maps, to be fair.
Yeah, it is, you know, that peak old mapping. It is a map that I myself do quite enjoy playing, given, well, I just do enjoy older maps, if anything. But it is a classic. Most tournament players who are in this tournament would have probably played this at some point beforehand, before actually seeing it in this 4WC. But yeah, let's... I just always like seeing this map. It's great seeing 2009 maps still being pulled in the big 2026. I just absolutely love to see it.
We definitely do love to see those older maps pulled in map pools here and there, as I don't think I mentioned it yet, but this pool is made of mostly 2023 and earlier maps, with 4 exceptions of No Mod 1, DT1, those being 2015, 3 Mod 3 being from 2014, and this 3 Mod 2 coming from 2009. Looking at the lobby, I believe we have players in and slowly getting ready for this 3 Mod 2. And we see Wick in the lobby instead of GS Blank, which is an interesting seeing because you would expect GS Blank on HR on this.
Yeah, you definitely would. GS Blank being that primary harder player in Singapore, having been he has had that role for I don't even know how many years at this point, but a lot. But yeah, he has taken that harder role, and you do see the exact same players taking the easy and Bronya on the normal to Acacia moves by on the easy. And this is what I was mentioning. On Estonia, you do have Ancent and Evil Gaming on the easy, but then the other two players are on the hidden hard rock. Which, honestly, they probably aren't comfortable on the AR8 or on the easy, it'll be AR4 even. But I think this map is just way too much harder with hidden hard rock, or hard rock in general, compared to how it is on either normal or easy. But then again, it's just comfortability for each of these players. But getting into the actual map, you already do see a couple of early breaks coming in from both Acacia and Wick, which does give a very slight early lead to the side of Estonia. However, this map does only ramp up in difficulty, and as you already see, the hassle finding a break early on, but still advantage to the side of Estonia.
Yeah, so far the slight disadvantage on the side of Estonia, and we see in addition to that mod roster with Evil Gaming's opting for easy instead of no mod as he previously did, which is not gonna give them any potential score advantage when it comes to multiplayers, as both easy and no mod give you the same score in this tournament, easy being 2x multiplier. We see misses coming in from Hustle and Unsent though on side of Estonia's side, and that's gonna shift it to the Singapore. We see break from Tomex as well as from Hustle, Acacia and Vic. So now we see two FCs against one, and Singapore is in a pretty good spot with their easy FC and normal FC right now.
Yeah, Singapore definitely with the upper hand right now, having those two FCs versus Estonia does only have that one FC. And you also have Acacia being able to recover fairly well, though Ancent is also with a pretty strong recovery. Moosebite is still holding on to that SS on the easy as well, which does definitely help the score a little bit more. No breaks coming in on the stream, no player really finding any issue with the flowing, but as I say, that Acacia does find a break on that recovery combo, but it is not one of those FCs, which is what Estonia needs to break. They need to see a break on the side of either Moosebite or Bronya to have a chance of coming back. But they are holding on very strong on their own combos of Estonia. You have Ansem still holding on to that 430 recovery combo, Evil Games on the FC, the Hassle and Tomex just recovering very well in general. And they actually do have the combo lead right now. So if we do see Singapore finding a break, it could still go in the favor of Estonia. And Moosepie does find a break. So this could still go over to the side of Estonia. And the Hikashi also finds a break on that recovery. It's just Bronya holding on to any sort of combo. And look at the score lead. It's going towards the side of Estonia now. And that FC on Evil Gaming is proving to be so clutch alongside all of the combos in general. Moosepie finding another break, and Estonia, right at the dying moments of the map, do find a comeback and steal this free mod 2 straight from Singapore and take the breakpoint straight back.
Estonia with the late comeback, unfortunate miss from Moosepie, which did cost them the point here, and Estonia getting the breakpoint back now. If they respawn with a pick of their own, we are back to even, back to 2-2. And with that said, Bronya with a pretty nice FC on that, no mod. But then you look at Evil Gaming side, 480k on easy, so double that. That will give you around 960,000, a bit less than the score on Bronya, but more than enough for Estonia to catch up by a point now. 2-1 Estonia next to pick, and they have unlocked some options potentially with that Nomad 5 still open.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Looking at the mod choices for this mod 2, it does make me kind of put the Nomad 5 kind of up in the air, considering it is on that AR8 and Estonia don't really have that many comfortable players on the low AR. Yeah, sure, you do have those two easy players on that being Evil Gaming's and Nonsense, but do they have the other two players to fill in on this AR8? I presume the Hassle's probably fine on it, but then again, it is a question of that fourth player who would fill in. It is a bit of an easier map, so you could maybe see even non-reading players hopping in and finding an FC on with a little bit lower accuracy. given it does have just a little bit more tricky rhythm, but it is not that inherently hard to aim nor combo. So we will see. But that No 1-5, definitely an avenue for Estonia, but I think we might see something a bit more, I guess, regular, to say the least. Maybe we'd see a Hard Rock 1 pick coming in from Estonia. I think that could be a fairly solid pick, or maybe even something like the Fremont 1 coming in.
Yeah, definitely some options on the board right now as they are taking their time with this pick. They will opt for Nomad 3, which is an interesting one. This Nomad 3 is devious from player perspective from what we have seen yesterday. It is a map that does not give you a lot of mercy on your score side, but definitely a map that gets picked pretty often. It is a custom by AJ Mosca. Thank you for that. And yeah, from what we have seen, this map starts off not that easily, but starts off slowly, and the more further you get into the map, the more and more difficult it gets, and that ending is basically unhittable for most of the players in this tournament, it seems like. So will be an interesting one to see. Compared to the Hidden 3, it's more on that snap ult side instead of that flow what we have seen on the Hidden 3. So that could make the difference, and we have seen Estonia pick this against Malaysia and actually win. And so did they against Hong Kong. On the other side, Singapore did win this against Hong Kong as well, so all 3 matches had this played. Now the head-to-head is what we are looking for directly in this matchup, and it might decide the flow of this match really. If Estonia gets this point back, gets it back to even, we are back to square one, starting with a best of 5 matchup, but it's still way too soon to tell us this Nomad 3 did not start yet.
I think this Nomad 3 is a pretty interesting pick from Estonia, as you did say. It has been played in all of their matches, and you do want to keep a lookout on for someone like Evil Gaming for the side of Estonia, pulling out an FC on the matchup against Malaysia, and you also have Anton's putting up a very, very strong score. And again, it is also something that players like the Hassel and Khaled can definitely improve on their scores. Whereas for the side of Singapore, we have only seen it being played once, but they did also beat Hong Kong. I guess a bit of a weaker spot for Hong Kong this year is that ult, but you did have Dawnwing and Hollow also putting up some very, very strong scores. But I believe the team score on the side of Singapore was just slightly lower. No, it was slightly higher by 7,000 points. So pretty much tied on this Nomad 3 in terms of comfortability, but let's see how it will go up against the side of Estonia. It could definitely be a very, very close map considering the team scores that we do have to see. But yeah, again, a custom map, we always love seeing them getting picked. But this map, as you did mention, is a bit more snap focused. There's also quite a bit of aim control. There are some stop-start ult patterns, as we do already see in the start. And if someone's not paying attention, they could definitely find a couple of misses or very significant accuracy drops. So make sure to keep a lookout for that. But getting into the map now, will we see any early breaks coming in? There is a pretty tricky aim control flowing section, and we already see Khaled finding the first break on the side of Estonia. Will we see any further breaks coming in, or will it only be that so far? It only seems like it is just Khaled finding that early break, but Hollow does trade it straight back. And it is very, very even early on, but Ansense does find a further break, which does give a very slight lead, but oh, Ansense finds a couple more breaks, but Bronya trades it right back. Hollow break. It is 2 FCs to 2, but it is a very slight combo lead early on to the side of Estonia.
Yeah, Estonia with the slight combo lead, but I'd assume the accuracy is holding it a bit on the Singapore side. Not anymore as the score shifts, but it's just going back and forth even with that slight combo lead on Estonia's side. We see 2 FCs against 2 FCs, so the question is, will we see any more breaks coming from the big scores, or will we see a fight of FCs and support scores happening in this map? So far, 20k difference. Hustle finds the miss on that second to last FC on Estonia's side, and that will go to Singapore's side, but Vic finding the FC miss as well, so it's now 1 FC against 1 FC. each time we see a drop coming from Estonia, we see it traded by Singapore, which is not really helping them as they are giving the slightest combo advantage to Estonia's side with that. And these sliders, for the first time I've seen, not catching anyone off guard actually.
Yeah, the slider ticks are definitely a little bit awkward to hit, but we're getting into the final quarter of the map, a bit of a final PI time here. Ansem did find the break though on the recovery combo, so it is on Evil Games home to the IFC alongside Khaled's recovery combo. And the combo lead is, I think, slightly in the favor of Singapore here, and the score lead is closing up very slightly. The Hassle finds a break on a bit of a lower recovery, but Dawnwing does trade it straight back, and that is the FC gone, but Khaled trades it back. It's only the FC on Evil Games holding on. If Estonia wants to take this, they really need a break from Holonies or Bronya, but there are just further breaks coming from Estonia. Ansem also breaking, Khaled breaking. Those two combos on Singapore are really just going to carry it all the way home for them. Holonies with a break right at the end, but it will not be enough for the side of Estonia to take this point back, and it is back to back break points now. Singapore going 3-1 up in the match, and Estonia really need this following pick. But look at the amount of S-Tanks we have in the lobby. We have 2 on Dawnwing and Bronya and Evil Games with another FC. Very consistent on this map overall, but yeah, Singapore just slightly pipping out Estonia on this one.
It is very interesting to see teams improve on their scores the further we get into this group stage. And yeah, we see a double improvement with Singapore. Just slightly better unfortunate misses coming in from the supports of Estonia. But again, there was enough combo held on Singapore's side for the shift to stay on their side. As you said, 3 breakpoints in a row now. Estonia again trailing by 2 with Singapore to pick next. And I'm not really sure what they opt for here, as most of the maps we are seeing right now are just so close. Basically on that coin flip side of stuff, whoever misses unfortunately first, or whoever misses a tiny bit more act drops, is gonna be the team that is usually down in those maps. But there's still stuff open. Still looking at a double time 2 as a potential option for Singapore, as they should on paper have the slight advantage on that, and we will indeed see that. So double time 2, 240 DPM control heavy map, which is not the easiest one, let's just say.
It will definitely be a bit of a tricky map for Estonia to counter Singapore on. Estonia suffering a little bit more in the tapping in their other matches, and also if you just look purely at the qualifier results, you do see a pretty big gap on the DT2. Estonia scoring 1.4 million, whereas Singapore scored 2.45 million. However, this pool is significantly easier compared to the qualifiers pool, so they might fare up a little bit better on this DT2. However, it definitely is not one of their strong suits, and they did lose this map up against Malaysia.
Yeah, definitely, at least on paper, something that should go in favor of Team Singapore here. But again, we see both teams improve pretty well overall, so question is if Estonia can pull up a score better than Singapore. We have not seen Singapore play this yet. They did ban it against Hong Kong, but Hong Kong is a team that is scary on tapping, so those bans did make sense there. But now picking it against Estonia, who is down 2 points, losing some momentum with another breakpoint loss. We are seeing some new names in the lobby. Galahad with GS Blank on Singapore. With Bronya, we will see Mega Hello in for Estonia probably. And yes, there they are. Khaled Unsent Evil Gamings. Interesting to see Evil Gamings on tapping. We did not see them on normal 2.
But Evil Games has played DT2 up against Malaysia, and Evil Games is also I think someone who is just about okay on this level of tapping. Definitely not their strong suit, but should just about be okay on this. Might suffer a bit more on the accuracy, but should be able to eke out that combo. However, Estonia will probably suffer on their fourth player not being able to field the full four-player roster for this map. When you look at the side of single player, Bronya, you have Holland, you have Galahad, and GS Blank. GS Blank coming in for the first time in this match, and it's definitely a player you want to keep your eyes out for. Getting into this map, you already see everybody on Estonia finding a couple of breaks. Antent and Mega Holo both really struggling on the accuracy. The entirety of Estonia already finding significant struggles, and this is exactly what we were talking about. This can be seen maybe as a bit of a free point for the side of Singapore just to get them back up to match point. And you can already see the lead building up. It's already at 220,000 points, and we're only not even a quarter of the way through the map.
Indeed, the worst accuracy on side of Singapore is better than the best accuracy on side of Estonia to 300,000 points in favor of Team Singapore, and we are only 1/3 into the map. We see a 3-way reset from Singapore with Holonies holding the last FC for them. But when it comes to combo, it should not do too much damage as the accuracy is just so divine on Singapore side compared to what Estonia has, that the score lead is still moving to the left side.
Yeah, the combo lead isn't even there anymore for the side of Estonia. You just have such a massive accuracy lead on the side of Singapore. It is very clear who is the more comfortable team on this map. Holland still holding on to that FC at 98% accuracy. You do have Bronya and Galahad suffering a bit more on that accuracy. GS Bank also down at 95%, but it is eons better than what Estonia is able to put up. And it is a very, very comfortable 4th point for the side of Singapore. No, not really any doubt at any stage of this map that Estonia might have had a chance on this. So, yep, Singapore all the way up to match point now as we finish off this map soon.
At this stage of the match, I believe with how many points Estonia lost, I don't really think there's any more chance for them to score in that top 2, and on top of that, even if they would need to pull off this miraculous comeback against a really strong Singapore today, with Holo with the FC of 1.1 million, almost 1 million team score difference, and yeah, this was one of those picks you could call a free pick. Singapore did wait for it to be one that is going to give them the really important position of being 4 points in, match point on any pick happening now.
I'm looking at the chat. How does that happen? Our teammate's tablet flew away. I have a lot of questions to ask. You know, some things happen during matches, but a tablet flying away is a new one. We gotta add that to a dictionary of OC phrases you never expected to hear. My tablet flew away mid-map. Just an absolute... I just have no words.
That's okay, that's an interesting one. So the first ever occasion of tablet drift we see. No mod 5 picked. A map that we talked about. It's a question of if Estonia has 4 comfortable players on this. And they will pick into it looking for some hope on the gimmicky map, but as you said, it's not that heavy on the reading side, it's mostly heavy on the rhythm side. It is AR 7.5, but as long as you can somewhat tap it properly, you can probably FC this map. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, it is a map that is a bit more on the easier side to combo. Again, I can definitely see a lot of players finding accuracy difficulties on this, but quite a bit easier to combo than more than anything. So I do expect Singapore to be able to field an extremely strong roster for this, given their reading prowess. You have Moose Pie coming in already, and if there's one player you want to have in for Singapore on reading, it is Moose Pie. You also probably see Hollow Knees coming in for this map. But for the side of Estonia, I think you might see a pretty similar roster to what you saw in Primo 2, just maybe changing one player out, one of the hidden hard players out to come in. Someone who's a little bit more focused on reading, but I do think it is actually just the exact same roster that we saw in Primo 2. Hikache is another great strong player on reading that Singapore does have. Bronya also very strong, but I do think Polonese should be that fourth player. Never mind Stormwing, another really good player at reading, so that does also make sense.
As indeed, I believe we are locked in on the rosters now, just waiting for the ready up message and start of this normal 5. It's gonna be an interesting map to see. It still can land on that 50-50 coin flip kind of map, and this map will last. It's a bit on the easier side, and the question is how comfortable players are with tapping this tricky rhythm, being able to control tapping throughout the tricky rhythm this map gives us. But so far, starting off, no double S held on the board, as we see quite a bit of 100s on the beginning of the map for players to stabilize and get in to the rhythm of the map. But yeah, the further we get, the more we see the egg getting better and better on all over the board, even though the accuracy on side of Estonia is marginally better, giving them a 50k lead, especially with that Hekatia miss coming in, Dawning as well joining that. And so far a really good start for Estonia on this normal 5.
Estonia starting off very, very well. You did see that triple miss coming from the side of Singapore, and so they'll trade one of those breaks. But it is 3 FCs to 1 at this moment in time. Estonia really looking pretty jolly at the start of this map, not looking to find any sort of breaks early on. And the Moose Pie does find another break on that recovery combo, which is definitely not what you want to see if you're on the side of Singapore. However, Estonia are just looking way too strong right now. As I say that Evil Gaming does find a break, and some significant accuracy drops do come in from Kalad, going all the way down to 85%. But just about holding onto that combo, and here is the accuracy difference potentially starting to play a part. But the accuracy difference is only really applicable by maybe 1 or 2%. It is very, very even on the accuracies, if anything at all. But the combo lead is now in the favor of Singapore, and the score lead will start closing down slowly but surely.
There's about 1/3 of the map left. We see a trade from Moose Pie and Kalad, which is gonna keep this combo lead on Singapore's side even more, and it's slowly but surely shifting. The accuracy is holding it back on Estonia's side with Bronya miss. The combo lead goes back to Estonia, and that's a pretty favorable position for them, I must say, as they will slowly but surely start running away with the score a little bit. God does find a miss, so does the hustle. So that's the big combo of Estonia down with 100 combo on Ansend, and Evil Gaming's Moose Pie does find a miss in 100k. I don't think there's enough time for the shift to happen, but it will be really, really close.
Yeah, just about not enough time. Estonia taking this point like 100,000 score. So very, very close overall. But that combo on the side of Ansant all the way at the end, and also the accuracy from Evil Games really helping them to pull through. Bronya with a very unfortunate slider break in the middle of the map, but Estonia just clutching up right at the end when it's really needed and getting another point on the board. However, it is now time for Singapore to pick, and I think we might see that hidden one coming in, and at that point Estonia might start finding some significant struggles. Or maybe even we could see it. Actually, looking at the rest of the pool, I actually do really think hidden one is probably the best thing left. Maybe they could potentially opt into that DT1. I don't think that's a half bad pick either, though. It's probably that DT1 or that hidden one.
Yeah, hidden one definitely makes sense with the hidden roster depth of Singapore being much better than the one on Estonia, but that DT1, as you mentioned, is also a big worth thinking about. You have those 270 BPM bursts that could cause some trouble to Estonia's side if they are not comfortable with tapping that. It is mostly aim, but again, those bursts could cause some trouble here and there. So it's a question of, I guess, hidden 1 DT1 as you mentioned. Nothing else really makes too much sense here. As long as they want a safe pick.
But it seems they're just waiting a little bit longer for the side of Singapore to finalize their final pick. And they go for DT3, which is another pick that does make sense. Opting into a map that I guess is a little bit more uncomfortable. And considering the most similar map in this pool to this DT3 is that number 3. And it was quite close, however, I would say this DT3 is a bit more difficult to act. And the patterns, I guess, are a little more awkward if you're not really comfortable in the DT ult. It's also a bit of a high BPM, kind of similar style of mapping though. So Estonia might still have a chance on this, but overall, I definitely put it a bit more favor towards the side of Singapore.
Yeah, we have seen this map played before for some of these teams. The funny thing though is that we don't know. We have seen it yesterday, Singapore, Hong Kong, so that is not really a thing that's happening in this matchup. No, actually we have seen it between Estonia and Hong Kong as well. But Estonia played a slightly different map back there, as the map got updated about 5 minutes before Singapore picked it against Hong Kong yesterday, so slightest changes there, here and there. That should not matter too much, but we might see some players needing to update the map for Estonia.
I think it was the Norway match, the Norway-Russia match, where the DT3 was updated 3 minutes before the map was picked. And yeah, that did cause a lot of issues, not just for the stream, but also for the players. And unfortunately, we weren't able to catch that map. But this time, we do have the map all ready to go. The players should have everything downloaded, updated, and all should be good to go within the next probably 20 to 30 seconds. But it seems we do have all the rosters finalized for Singapore. We have Dorming, the Kala is a Estonian player, so probably Hollandese coming in, Bronya, and potentially GS flying. No, Galahad filling in the final slot for the side of Singapore. And for the side of Estonia, we have the Hassel, Tomex, Evil Gaming, and 10th. So we will see how the CT3 will end up panning out for both of these teams. However, as mentioned previously, might be a little bit more favored to the side of Singapore.
Indeed, it's somewhat closer, no more 3, but not really at the same time. You have a lot of wiggles in this map, those 1-2 snaps you can see all throughout the map, and it's just really uncomfortable to play when... this map is just tricky, I'd say. You can see all the factors coming in. It's pretty difficult to hold accuracy on those 1-2s, and we don't see any double S's on the board. Actually, we do see one on Hollow Knees, and the first miss coming from Galahad, actually giving the combo lead to Estonia slightly in their favor, but Ansem does find the trade in 1 minute 40 seconds of drain time will cause a lot of stuff, as the combos will matter quite a bit. Tomex with Hustle finding those misses as well, and it's only 1 FC on Team Estonia's side against 3 on Singapore. Actually 2 and something on Singapore, as Bronya did find that early miss back there. And so far 250k in favor of Singapore, and this is looking really good for them.
It is looking very good for the side of Singapore here, still holding on to those 2 FCs, pretty much 4 FCs at this point. You have Galahad and Bronya with the very early breaks. But the side of Estonia is also recovering pretty well, and sending the Hassle with very strong recoveries. Tomex starting to recover just about now. Evil Game still holding to the FC, but we will see if the side of Singapore find any further breaks. And Galahad is the first person to find a significant break on the side of Singapore now. But it is already a 500,000 score lead, and Evil Game is breaking on that FC, and I think that really does spell the end here at this 4WC for the side of Estonia. There is still another quarter left of the map. Dorming breaking, the Hollow Knees also breaking. It is just 1 FC left on the side of Singapore, but I just don't think there is anywhere near enough map left for Estonia to bring this back. And the score lead is going down very quickly, but it just will not be enough, and Singapore will be advancing to the 2-0. At least they will be going 2-0 up in their group, and they will have one more match to play later on today. And unfortunately, I believe with this result, Estonia has been officially eliminated in 3rd place of their group. So commiserations to Estonia, but Singapore will at least guarantee that top 2 placement. So massive congratulations to Singapore for making it out of the group stage. A very scary roster for any team to really come up against, even if there is a massive seeding disparity. Singapore is definitely a team that can punch way above their weight.
Indeed, this group has only one match left, and that's gonna be the match for the 1st place between Singapore and Malaysia that we unfortunately will not be able to see due to collisions between streams. But definitely look out for the score there, as it might be an interesting one, might be a close one. But with that said, I think we should end it pretty quickly, as there is a match getting ready really soon, and that's gonna be between India and Sweden in about 3 minutes. So I have nothing else to say. I don't know about you, Felicia.
I just want to say thank you for casting alongside me. Abhishek, it's been great casting with you. And I do also want to mention our sponsors for this 4WC, that being Yobumo, Slider Pals, and Kagami Studio. You can scroll down in the Twitch page of Project Hexagon in order to find some more information about a giveaway that we do have going on, so make sure to check that out. But that will be it for the stream. Make sure you stay tuned for the future matches. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.